before the break, we asked, what would you find at the fictional location of Isla Nublar? We gave you Jurassic Park, Blofeld's Lair, or Thomas the Tank Engine. Surely not Thomas. It is Jurassic Park. Hello again, Paula and Jacob with us this morning, and Dr. Andrew Meyerson joins us, come to us from the picket line, correct? So we can talk about whether it is right for GPs, resident doctors, to be on strike. Used to be known as junior doctors. Love your thoughts on this. 0207 862 2222. The NHS has warned it may have to cut frontline staff as well as appointments and operations if doctors' strikes continue. Let's just have a look at the figures here, just to see exactly why they're cross and what they're looking for, okay? Over here we go. So, some basic stats for you. Here we are. This is the total pay rise that they've had across 3 years, nearly 29%. 38,800 is the basic salary in the first year of a resident doctor. And if you look at the last strike, 54,000 procedures and appointments were cancelled and rescheduled. So a lot. £300 million is what they say it cost the NHS, that last strike. Come this way and you'll see what they're looking for now. So the demand from doctors now is 26% pay increase. They say they've had 17 years of real terms earning losses. And they also say there are 5 doctors for every GP training post. So people are qualified as doctors, but they can't get into GP training. And the final thing, which really upsets doctors at the moment, is that they say there are 20,000 more doctors than what are called specialty roles. So the specialty roles, the absence of them is stopping those 20,000 from finding their way up the career ladder. So there's a lot of stats there, I know, but I think that lays it out really well. And of course it leaves us, doesn't it, rather balanced precariously between people thinking you've got a case and people thinking you're hurting the NHS.
I can understand. Thank you for having me. It's good to speak to you guys. And to everybody at home as well. I understand that everybody is incredibly frustrated and angry at this situation. We are absolutely, I should not be here right now. We should not have been on the picket line this morning. We should be in work. We should be taking care of patients. It's a very odd situation where we have the longest waiting lists in NHS history, started by the Conservative Party. You were a member of the Conservative Party for 14 years. That those waiting lists ballooned to 7.5 million.
But what time? During COVID?
No, they went up gradually over the years. There's mismanagement after mismanagement after mismanagement.
But you've chosen the peak at COVID, have you?
Sorry?
You've chosen the peak moment at COVID.
No, I'm saying that what was the high watermark of the waiting list?
I don't think you're giving all the reasons you shouldn't go on strike now.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay,
so look.
Well, okay.
No, I understand this is incredibly frustrating, but look, when Labour took over last year, they said, okay, we're going to have, and I admire our leadership in the BMA and also our health secretary as well, for coming to the table, for meeting with the British Medical Association, our union. I'm just a rank and file member. And for bringing an end to these strikes and saying, okay, we are going to start with a very good pay package. And we said, okay, good, thank you for taking this seriously. We are going to put strikes on hold for a year. And we are going to continue the negotiations, making sure that we can get to full pay restoration.
I think they thought they'd stop the strikes by giving you the pay you wanted.
Oh, that was never the case.
30% or so.
That's quite a large percentage of the pay increase that we've gotten so far, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't
so
enough.
A lot of people are saying, okay, well, if you've gotten such a high pay increase, why are you asking for even more?
That's it.
Exactly.
That was my question 5 minutes ago.
It's a very fair question.
Yeah.
And the issue with that is that we have sustained such a significant pay drop over the last 18 years that it takes such a large increase.
Just hold on with that.
It takes such a large increase. Give me a second. It takes such a large increase in order to get back.
This is crazy, right? Why should doctors be restored to some mythical pay rate in 2008 when they went to medical school 5 years ago and signed up to become a doctor, they knew what the salary was? So if your argument was correct, the most you should ever go back is 5 or 6 years.
Go to university to become a doctor for the money. They went to university.
Apparently they're striking because of the money.
No, they're not only striking for the money. And this is what we really need to dispel this morning.
The strike has changed.
This is not just about the money. And forgive me for speaking over you. This is not just about the money. And the suggestion in the press that this is just about the money is wrong and needs to be clarified. This is also about ensuring that there is patient safety. This is also about ensuring that we have the doctors to care for the patients in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, because the system is crumbling, not cracking, crumbling.
Paula, would you not accept that if you give doctors a further 26% pay increase, i.e. increase their salary by a quarter? By the way, even in the first day in the job, they're already paid more than 50% of people in the United Kingdom. Would you not accept that if you give them another 25%, there will just be fewer doctors because there is no magic money tree. There is a limit on the funds the NHS can have.
Answer.
Look, you're having an argument with a doctor who has, I'm an American citizen, I'm originally from Baltimore. I could go back to the United States and earn 4 times as much. Okay. I have colleagues that I work with that have gone to Australia, that go to the Middle East, that go to Canada, Ireland, where their salaries are double, triple, where the quality of their lives
going to university
are
in Australia,
so much better.
Let me finish,
please. You asked me a question, let me finish.
No, sorry, excuse me. We have to go to our break. We've got literally 5 seconds, but we'll come back to your answer, I promise, after that. So, our striking doctors putting the NHS at risk. 0207 862 2222. See you in a moment. Before the break, we asked, what is a group of owls called? We gave you Parliament, Court, Coven. It's a Parliament of owls. So we have with us a doctor who works at A&E, resident doctor, correct? Used to be called junior doctor. At A&E, on strike. In fact, I think we got some picket line pictures that you took, so we might be able to see this. These were taken by you?
Yes, sir.
Where is this, Andrew?
This is right outside of St. Thomas Hospital in London, across from Parliament.
And it says you pay, what does it say? You've got your placard, patients need doctors, doctors need jobs.
Yes.
Jake's point is that the more pay you get, the fewer jobs there are for doctors.
I don't think it exactly works like that. So, look, for many, many years, we have seen a staff hemorrhage from the NHS. We're talking about 40,000 nurses leaving the NHS every year, 20,000 doctors leaving the NHS every year, and that has a cost to the British public. And so if it's projected in the next couple of years, if we do nothing, then that's going to cost you £5 billion just dealing with the cost of training somebody and then gifting them to the Australian Health Service or gifting them to the Canadian Health Service. It doesn't make any sense. We are seeing far too many people leaving. And one of the ways that you can fix this is pay restoration. Now, this dispute that we're having, it still involves the pay restoration because that is an essential component of this in order to keep doctors here. However, the big change is that there are newly qualified F2 doctors who just graduated who don't have jobs. Okay. I was just on the picket line with somebody, and they were just telling me that in their F2 teaching, which they have
Foundation Year 2,
that they are discussing working in a restaurant, driving an Uber, working in a supermarket, and then also doing some extra shifts in the hospital.
Take a call in a moment. Andrew, sorry, don't filibuster. Sorry.
No, I'm not. When you have the worst waiting list in NHS history, you cannot have doctor unemployment. It does not make any sense.
Two things you said cannot both be true. So first of all, you say people are going to Australia because they're paid more. Yes, but if you train as a doctor in Australia, your fees can be up to £60,000 per year. That is the deal in Australia. You pay a huge amount to train, you get a higher salary. In the UK, you are subsidised by the British taxpayer, with grateful thanks, I'm sure, throughout your entire training. So your university fees are £12,000, but not £60,000, and your pay when you start is slightly lower. But I go back to that point, on the first day in the office, it's still higher than 50% of the workforce here in Britain, and also after a few years, doctors will be earning £97,000 plus. This is not a poor
After a few years. I've been a doctor for 6 years now, and I'm barely making 50 grand.
Okay,
barely
that's
making 50.
that's
Your
very
stats aren't correct. And
in America, you would get 200,000 for the same job.
Oh, absolutely.
All
I can make 4 times as much doing the exact same thing in the United States where I'm from, but I don't want to because I value the NHS, because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, before you guys took over, it was ranked the highest, it was the #1 healthcare system in the entire world. And then what you guys did...
It was a financial crisis.
That's fine, but we have priorities in this country, and we can shift those priorities. You took out £400 billion from the NHS. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true, and I have the receipts for it. And you were in power for 14 years, and if you look at where the waiting lists were, if you look at where people's experience with their GPs, A&E, cancer care,
let's pause. Andrew, just pause. I've just got to do a few other things as well as hear your brilliant views. So the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, has called the strikes reckless this morning and accused union bosses of having lost the plot. Earlier this week, he warned of the impact on the NHS.
I think it's become increasingly clear that the BMA is no longer a professional voice for doctors. They are increasingly behaving in cartel-like behaviour, and they threaten not just the recovery of the NHS under this government, they threaten the future of the NHS full stop. And I think that is a morally reprehensible position to be in.
Wow, so heavy words, lightly thrown. Sonia in Essex, hello.
Hi, Jeremy.
Do you think Andrew is right to strike?
I, as a fellow American, yes, he is. And to answer your question, those questions phrased like that are very inflammatory because the public has a very short attention span and they only just react to headlines. But my son and his girlfriend, who are both resident doctors, first year, has written in some points he'd like to say.
Oh,
if you're happy to hear that.
So, fine. Is it quite a long email or?
Well, he condensed it a bit. It was more eloquent in the first bit. But, he's basically saying, what Andrew said, doctors aren't guaranteed jobs anymore because the government is outsourcing them to foreigners without restrictions.
Yeah.
Doctors work harder than most people for little appreciation and aren't compensated for it. And that a developed country should be able to appropriately compensate its highly educated workers. That was a condensation. The first one was much more statistical.
Yeah. But when you say doctors work harder than most people?
No,
working factories?
They work longer hours without, compensation. They, it's back to back, night shift, things like that. So that's not your average.
All right. Well, point taken. And where does your son work then, Sonia?
He's in Norwich at the moment.
But in what sort of field is what I meant? In a hospital?
Sorry, he's a Foundation 1, so they just do different sectors as they decide what they're going to specialize in. But even specializing is impossible because they're not funded. There are not enough places to fund them to specialize.
Okay.
So you're lacking doctors. Then they get in foreign doctors because it's a quick fix, and it leaves all these graduates twiddling their thumbs. My neighbor was an anesthetist who qualified to do anesthetist. He's having to do some paperwork stuff in a GP because he couldn't get that place.
Okay, Sonia, thank you very much. Thank you. Of course, this is happening now under Labour. So it's a weird thing, this, where we've had a lot of criticism of the Conservatives, I understand that. But we're now in a different government and they can't find the levers to pull here.
Do you know what, Jeremy? I am disgusted at what Wes Streeting said.
Really?
I cannot believe that this is a minister from the Labour government referencing a government body as if they are a criminal organisation. How?
Well, BMA, you mean?
Yes.
Well, they're not a government body, they're a trade union.
A governing
body, right.
How dare
Democratic
he do that?
governing body
How
of
dare
doctors
he say
just
that?
fighting for
And I
patients.
hope the other trade union members out there are listening to the way Wes Streeting, a man who was saved not once but twice, I believe. His life was saved by these doctors, and this is how he's speaking about them. Let me tell you something, Jeremy. Strikes don't kill people. It is systemic failure in the NHS that kills people.
Doesn't kill people, sir?
Well,
Sir Barry, come on.
Well, first of all, strikes, I would think, may kill people because there are, I think, 300,000.
Well, you can say may.
300,000.
I'm quite clear about
300,000. But look, so I just want to get back to the point you talked about these cuts. So in the last 14 years, NHS budget went up every single year. And that's a fact. You can check in there. No, let me finish. I'd let you say. So first of all, that is a fact. So you say all these cuts. That is just simply untrue. The second point is that we have never spent more money on our NHS under all governments, Labour and Conservative. The budget has never been bigger. In my view, and I think patients would agree with this, that the service has never been more stretched. Waiting lists have never been longer. People have never, the dissatisfaction has never been higher. And, you know...
Engineered by your party, because you wanted to push the population...
Sorry, a second ago... let me finish. A second ago, it was the Conservative... I'm no longer in the Conservative body. You say what you want about them, frankly. A second ago...
What's the difference now? You grow a mustache and call yourself a reform candidate now?
The second ago is that the Conservative Party cut the budget. Not true. And then you sort of mumbled under your breath during that caller, we're striking for patients. You're not. You're striking for yourself. You're striking for more pay. You are not striking for
I would
patients.
leave this country.
So when you get your 25% pay rise, you'll be then paid, and your own maths, currently paid $50,000, you'll be paid £75,000 a year. I'm sure you're worth it. I'm sure you work really hard for it. Why can't we pay nurses more? Why shouldn't nurses get
All right, let's go to a caller
why
now.
shouldn't hospital porters...
And in the Scottish Highlands...
Every public sector... Everybody who was considered a key worker during COVID should be paid more. Absolutely, 100%.
It will close.
Wow.
It will close. There isn't enough money in the whole country.
Okay, and in the Scottish Highlands, hi. There we are, you're through.
Hello.
Well done.
Hi. First thing I'd like to say is everyone knows that the NHS is broken. It's completely broken from top to bottom. However, I am absolutely against the doctors striking. From my perspective, I understand they're striking for pay and conditions as well. I understand that. But just because they have trained, and they've trained very hard for a number of years, does not give them an entitlement to a job. Life doesn't guarantee you a job. There are teachers, architects who have trained and can't get a job at the end of their training. And I would also like to remind the doctor on the panel, there are thousands of people up and down this country who also save lives, who go out and put their own life at risk in order to save another life. And they do it for nothing, for no pay whatsoever.
You're talking about lifeboat operators.
I'm talking about the lifeboat and also the mountain rescue.
No, I understand. Well,
wonderful
that's a good point.
people, great work. They should be, if they're doing this on a volunteer basis, wonderful. Anybody that works hard in the public sector should be paid reasonably well. Look, and you deserve, and everybody at home, you deserve to see a doctor when you need to see one. Within 24 to 48 hours at your GP, within 4 hours in A&E. You deserve to have your cancer care seen in 2 weeks. We are never hitting these targets.
Hang on, she's talking.
We're not hitting these targets because we don't have enough staff.
We would. I accept that. We would all like that, but life is tough, and you have to accept what you accept.
Here's a question. Let me ask Andrew a question here. If you could take, because you say it's about patients, let's say the government said, right, we've got the money to give you the 25% pay rise, but you've got a choice. We can take that money and we could buy more doctors with it instead. Would you say yes?
Well, I think that you'll have to ask the BMA officially.
No.
Look, I think that it's
for patients,
a false question, because I think that we need to look at the situation now. We have the worst waiting list in NHS history, and we have doctor unemployment at the same time. That doesn't make sense.
No, I asked a really specific question. Why not take the money you want and use it to employ more doctors?
Because we're hemorrhaging doctors. We need to do both.
Exactly.
We need to pay doctors more in order to keep them here, in order to keep them in the system, but also, and this is how this latest part of the dispute has changed. We have 20,000 doctors that applied for training spots that do not have jobs next year.
Okay.
If anybody wants their cancer care, they're not going to have that without that doctor.
So you say we have more doctors than jobs, but apparently the biggest challenge we face is we're hemorrhaging doctors. Well, if there's more doctors than jobs, then those doctors can go and fill those vacancies.
We're talking about different stages of their career, Jake. We're not talking about new entrants. We're talking about people at different stages of their career, and that's where you have to look at the breakdown in the figures.
Okay. Residents,
well, there's a little pause. Hang on, I heard there was a tiny pause. Marie in Liverpool, you can get in. What do you want to say?
Oh, hi. Thanks for coming back to me.
No, it's all right.
My granddaughter is a resident doctor, and I was incensed the other day when I heard a gentleman phone in and say, it's a vocation. They should just accept what they're given. It's not a vocation. She did 2 jobs while she was in university. I was always sending her money and things to help out. And For instance, he was saying that they get paid overtime. They don't finish work at 5 o'clock like you do in an office or a shop. She stays behind. One of her patients was poorly and was going to pass away. She stayed with the family and went home late. They can apply for overtime, but the paperwork, and by the time it comes through, she said, it takes so long.
Okay.
Another instance...
No, Marie, thank you. I just want to go to Syra in Kent. You're a
Marie.
cardiologist, Syra.
Oh, hello there. Good morning, everybody.
Morning. And you in favour of this or not?
Yes. Well, they shouldn't be striking. Come on, guys. I mean, that doctor sitting on the panel just said he shouldn't be in the studio, and he's correct.
Because we should have a government that cares about this and cares about ending this.
No.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be in the studio. You shouldn't be on the picket line. You should be in the hospital. You took a Hippocratic oath, which is to do no harm. You are doing harm by not doing your job.
Let him respond. Let Andrew respond to that.
Please, I'm very sorry. This just makes my blood boil. You say you have no money for. NHS has no money for specialist training. Yes. If people keep striking, all that money is wasted. The money that can be used for you to actually get those specialist posts.
Let him answer, Syra, please.
Syra, it's a fact that £400 billion was taken from NHS budgets over the last 15 years because of the Conservative Party, okay? And the Labour Party is not doing enough to rectify that situation right now. On the issue that and we experience this every single time that we have a strike, we're asked, you have an obligation to do no harm. I'm sitting there in my A&E. I'm seeing patients. I'm seeing a waiting room of working class people who deserve care, who are crying, who are in pain, who don't have enough nurses in there looking after them, don't have enough doctors, and they're waiting for 12 hours in the most miserable day of their life, in terrible pain, waiting for somebody to see them.
Because there aren't enough doctors.
Because there are not enough doctors, because there's not enough staff, because there's not enough beds, there's not enough social care. All of these issues need to be solved.
Okay.
But I see these patients in our A&E waiting rooms, and I feel for them. I feel awful for them. And in order to fix this, option one is do nothing, in which case the waiting lists get longer. Option two is to look at a holistic perspective of how we can fix the NHS.
Syra disagrees. Mike in Manchester, do you agree with Andrew or not?
No, I'm sorry, I don't. It appalls me, really. One of your previous commentators said that one of the children was an FY1. So let me get this straight. They've been out of university for 1 year and they're on strike. And they went into it knowing full well what the job entailed as far as the hours. They've been on rotation during part of the doctor education. They've been on wards. They've spoken to some of the peers, the people who they intend to be when they qualified as a doctor.
Okay. Yeah, there are people who are striking who their pay hasn't slid behind because they were at school when they're going back to 2008.
Yeah, exactly. Their issue is much more about not having a job after they qualify. Now, I understand that when you go to study something, there's in most cases there's no guarantee of a job. But this is the NHS. We are a government. We are employed by the government, and so it is different. And if you are planning for the workforce in the future, something that you guys never did, and I'm sorry, I just have to be brutally honest with you. I'm so furious with politicians dictating to us about the NHS. You destroyed the NHS, took healthcare away from people.
Next time,
I'm sorry,
you
I'm
look
furious
into your
about it.
waiting room and you see these working class people, as you describe them. Some of them will be earning £22,000, £23,000 a year, paying taxes to pay your £50,000 a year salary.
Sir Jake Berry, you guys took away £400 billion from NHS budgets.
You admitted that budgets are going
Nobody should ever vote for Conservatives again, and also for reform.
When you look at those people earning significantly less than you, paying taxes to pay your salary, why don't you think, why don't I go back to work and treat those people rather than striking so I can get another 25%?
Because
it is a betrayal of the pensions that you have signed up.
We need to stop, Jake.
It's a betrayal of your
Paula,
pensions.
Betrayal is from government ministers like you, sir.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Andrew Meyerson, for coming in. Later, it's the papers and everything else. We'll be joined by fashion journalist and presenter Susanna Constantine. After the break, should the BBC pay compensation to Donald Trump after broadcasting that edited version of the speech he made on January the 6th? 020 7862 2222. See you shortly.